Shabbat Shalom. Barku et Yahweh. Barku et Yahweh Hamevarak. Barukata Yahweh Hamevarak le Alam Vayet. Barukata Yahweh leheinu meleka Alam. Asher bekar benumako hamayim wenatan lanu ha-Torah. Barukata Yahweh notan ha-Torah. Blessed be Yahweh. Blessed be Yahweh the Blessed One. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the Blessed One, for all eternity. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, King of the universe, who selected us from all the peoples and gave us your Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, giver of the Torah. To the Elohim of Avraham, to the Elohim of Yitzhak, and to the Elohim of Yisrael, to our Master, our Deliverer, our Savior, our King, our El, our Provider, our Healer, our Sustainer. Do we come to you today with bowed head and humble hearts, asking you, Master, to forgive us of our sins, cleanse us of unrighteousness, that our prayers be not hindered this morning, that you allow our prayers to come before you today, that you turn not a deaf ear to our cries, O King, and that you would hear our supplications, and that the meditations of our heart and the words of our mouth be acceptable in thy sight. We come to you today, Master, on your set-apart day, out of obedience, love, and fear, that you said those that set apart this day and have a convocation together shall be a sign between you and them that we are in a covenant with you. So we are witnesses to that covenant today by coming out to your house today, Master, on this day. We thank you, O King, for the life that you have given us. We thank you for the health that you have provided us, the strength of our limbs, and the functioning of our being, and our sight, seeing, and all the senses that you have provided for us, O King, that you have blessed us with that, and we come out today to bless you. We thank you, O King, that you have kept us all week long and provided us sustaining food for our bodies, the remnant of our clothing to cover our nakedness, and shelter, Master, that we may lay ourselves down at night in peace and sleep with no one to harm us, O King, because we are protected by you. We thank you, O King, that you have kept our children, that they have traversed throughout the highways and byways, and you have brought them home safely to us each night. We thank you for gainful employment that you have provided for us, Master. We thank you for all things. Master, we ask that you would, that we could bless you this day, and that you would accept all of our praises and adoration of you, that you would forgive not only us, but our ancestors who sinned against you, Master, that we are now in this exile, that you would forgive us and that you would forgive them, Master. And we turn back to you, O King, and we turn back to you as you say in your word. And we ask that you would bless us and keep us, and that you remember us, O King, that when you come, that you said that those that keep your covenant, Master, that you shall remember them, you shall zakar, and you shall reward them as a man rewards a son who serves him, O King. So we, your people, Israel, Master, reach out to you today, for there's no other help that we know, that if you withdraw yourself from us, Master, like the songstress say, wherever should we go? We thank you, Master, and that you would keep us until we meet here again. This is our prayer.
Read the Psalms today. We're going to be reading from Psalms 100. We're going to start at 111. Shabbat Shalom to all of you that are here. Let us read together. Hallelujah. I will wholeheartedly give thanks to Yahweh in the council of the upright and in the assembly. The deeds of Yahweh are great, greatly desired by all who enjoy them. His work is full of majesty and splendor, and his righteousness continues forever. He has gained renown for his wonders. Yahweh is merciful and compassionate. He gives food to those who fear him. He remembers his covenant forever. He shows his people how powerful he works by giving them the nations as their heritage. The works of his hands are truth and justice. All his precepts can be trusted. They have been established forever and ever, to be carried out truly and honestly. He sent redemption to his people and decreed that his covenant should be forever. His name is holy and fearsome. The first and foremost point of wisdom is the fear of Yahweh. All those living by it gain good common sense. His praise stands forever. Hallelujah! How happy is anyone who fears Yahweh, who greatly delights in his mitzvot. His descendants will be powerful on earth, a blessed generation of upright people. Wealth and riches are in his house, and his righteousness stands forever. To the upright he shines like a light in the dark, merciful, compassionate, and righteous. Things go well with the person who is merciful and lends, who conducts his affairs with fairness, for he will never be moved. The righteous will be remembered forever. He will not be frightened by bad news. Pause there. Let's pause there. He will not be frightened by bad news. Let's say it again. I will not be frightened by bad news. He remains steady, trusting in Yahweh. His heart is set firm. He will not be afraid till finally he looks in triumph at his enemies. He distributes freely, he gives to the poor. His righteousness stands forever. The power will be increased honorably. The wicked will be angry when they see this, and they will gash their teeth and waste away. The desires of the wicked will come to nothing. Hallelujah! Servants of Yahweh, give praise. Give praise to the name of Yahweh. Blessed be the name of Yahweh, for the moment on and forever. From sunrise until sunset, Yahweh's name is to be praised. Yahweh is high above the nations, his glory above the heavens. Who is like Yahweh our El, seated in the heights, humbling himself to look on heavens and on earth? He raises the poor from the dust, lifts the needy from the rubbish heap, in order to give him a place among princes, among the princes of his people. He causes the childless woman to live at home happily as a mother of children. Hallelujah. When Israel came out of Mitzrayim, the house of Yaakov, from the people of foreign speech, Yehudah became Yahweh's sanctuary, Israel his domain. The sea saw this and fled. The Jordan turned back. The mountains skipped like rams, the hills like young sheep. Why is it, sea, that you have fled? Why, Jordan, do you turn back? Why, mountains, do you skip like rams and your hills like young sheep? Tremble, earth, at the presence of Yahweh, at the presence of El of Yaakov, who turned the rocks into a pool of water, flint into flowing spring. Not to us, Yahweh, not to us, but to your name give glory, because of your grace and truth. Why should the nations ask, where is their God? Our El is in heaven. He does whatever he pleases. When the idols were mere silver and gold, made by human hands. They have mouths, but they can't speak. They have eyes, but they can't see. They have ears, but they can't hear. They have noses, but they can't smell. They have hands, but they can't feel. They have feet, but they can't walk. With their throats, they can't make a sound. The people who make them will become like them, along with everyone who trusted them. Yisrael, trust in Yahweh. He is our help and shield. House of Aaron, trust in Yahweh. He is our help and shield. You who fear Yahweh, trust in Yahweh. He is their help and shield. Yahweh has kept us in mind, and he will bless. He will bless the house of Israel. He will bless the house of Aaron. He will bless those who fear him, great and small alike. May Yahweh increase your numbers, both yours and your children. May you be blessed by Yahweh, the maker of heaven and earth. Heaven belongs to Yahweh, the earth he has given to humankind. The dead can't praise Yahweh. not those who sink down into silence, but we will bless Yahweh now, on and forever. Hallelujah. You may be seated. We give praise to the wonderful name of the Most High and his excellence of who he is. And we rejoice in him. Our teacher, Moreh Appleton, is going to come to you at this time.
All right, all right, all right. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right. It is yet an honor and a privilege to be back on stage one more again to praise the mighty name of Yahweh El Elyon El Shaddai, Yahweh Nisi, Yahweh El Savaot El Shaddai, the beneficent, the one who has created the heavens and the earth, the one that has allowed us to be here to observe the mitzvot of the Shabbat, the one who has allowed us and pulled us out of a house of idolatry here in westernized culture where we have been exiled. The Most High saw enough of us to give us this wisdom and knowledge in this dispensation of time. To the one that has created all things, out of nothing, all things were created. The one that has established the house of Yaakov, who pulled us out of our ancestors out of Mitzrayim with a strong arm and delivered our people and worked with our people in the desert for 40 years and gave us a piece of real estate deeded to us. That Elohim I acknowledge today, and I say thank you for allowing me to be here in front of your people today. For those of you that are viewing by way of the stream, hallelujah, shalom unto you. We recognize that our viewership is growing, and as Pan-Hebrewism continues to outreach throughout the four corners of the world, we thank you for your ability to be consistent to join us every single week. So to you, I say Shabbat Shalom. To our descendants that will hear these messages that are not here with us today, that they will know that even though in this dispensation of time, we do not have it all. We have not arrived. Not a one person here has arrived at the point where we know everything about the Most High. At best, we walk amiss because why? We are in exile. We cannot do all of the mitzvot that are prescribed to us in our law as a part of the nation of Hebrew Israel. You will know that your ancestors today walked in the ways of the Most High the best way we could. So to our descendants, Shabbat Shalom. To the Moreh, Trey Beverly, Shabbat Shalom to you, sir. To our media director, Johan Tate, Shabbat Shalom to you, sir. And to our team that is helping us on the media team today, Shabbat Shalom to you. To the head of this house, our head teacher and senior Moreh, the Honorable Robert B. Holman, Jr. Shabbat Shalom to you, sir. I am Moreh Appleton, and I am excited to be here today because we are going to talk about a subject matter today that is very famous. You should all know about it from Vacation Bible School. How many of y'all went to Vacation Bible School? Huh? Vacation Bible School. You know what that's about. Okay? It comes from the book of Shemuel, 2 Shemuel chapters 11 and 2. 11 and 12, excuse me. But I'm not going to go there just yet because I want to read a psalm that kind of sets up this whole entire passage. It's Psalm number 51, if we can pull it up on the screen. Psalm number 51 sets up kind of the issues that we're going to be talking about today. It is a psalm that was written by none other than who? Who were the psalms written by? Most of them were written by Melech David. Most of the Proverbs were written by whom? His son, Shlomo. And right here in 51 it says, for the leader, a psalm of Melech David. Melech in Hebrew just means king. When Natan the prophet came to him after his affair with Bathsheba. I'm already giving you a precursor on where we're going today. Let's read, and I will read it for your hearing. Yahweh, Eye Asher Eye, in your grace have mercy on me. In your great compassion, blot out my crimes. Wash me completely from guilt and cleanse me from my sin. For I know my crimes, my sin confronts me all the time. Against you, you only have I sinned and done what is evil from your perspective, so that you are right in accusing me and justified in passing sentence. True, I was born guilty, was a sinner from the moment my mother conceived me. Still, you want truth in the inner person. So make me know wisdom in my innermost heart. Sprinkle me with hyssop, and I will be clean. Wash me, and I will be whiter than snow. Let me hear the sound of joy and gladness, so that the bones you crushed can rejoice. Turn away your face from my sins and blot out my crimes. Create in me a clean heart, Yahweh. Renew in me a resolute spirit. Don't thrust me away from your presence. Don't take your Ruach HaKodesh away from me. Restore my joy in your salvation, and let a willing spirit uphold me. Then I will teach the wicked your ways, and sinners will return to you. Rescue me from the guilt of shedding blood. Eye Asher Eye, Yahweh, my salvation. Then my tongue will sing about your righteousness. Eye Asher Eye, open my lips. Then my mouth will praise you, for you don't want sacrifices, or I would give them. You don't take pleasure in burnt offerings. Listen to what this man is saying. You're going to hear it all again when we go through this narrative. For you don't want sacrifices, or I would give them. You don't take pleasure in burnt offerings. My sacrifice to El is a broken spirit. This man is quoting a mitzvot right now. Because when you become of your sin, aware of your sin, there is no sacrifice for premeditated sin. Why is he saying what he's saying here? My sacrifice to El is a broken spirit. I can't give you anything. Eye Asher Eye, you won't spurn a broken, chastised heart, or chastened heart, chastened heart. In your good pleasure, make Sion prosper, which is the city of David. Rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Then you will delight in the righteous sacrifices, in burnt offerings and whole burnt offerings. Then they will offer bulls on your altar. A preface and a prequel to 2 Shemuel chapter number 11 and 12. Do you happen to know who we're going to talk about today? Okay, you don't. Good. Nobody actually raised their hand and nobody actually said anything. Okay. Let's ask a question. Is everybody in here familiar with Melech David? Come on, you can talk to me today, okay? It's not okay. I'm not like him. I'm not going to tell you, no, you're wrong. Does everybody know who Melech David is? Good. Tell me some famous things about Melech David. What is he famous for? Killing Goliath. What else? One of the youngest of Yeshai's sons, going to war. He's a military man, yes. What else? What is he known for? What are some other things that he's known for? He's a great musician. One of the awesome worshiper. What else do you know about him? He committed a sin with the infamous Bathsheba. What else? Nothing else? Okay, you hit actually the major ones that are on the head. I wanted you to actually add in there, he wrote most of the Psalms, which you said earlier. And he's famous for having and he will be our what? King forever, as it is written in the text, right? So are some of the major things about David. But one of the things that Brother B back there said, and I forgot to say to you, Shabbat Shalom to you today, Brother B. I am so sorry. Acknowledge you today. But Brother B over here said in the corner he is famous for his issue with Bathsheba. Talk to me today. What do you know about David and Bathsheba? Other than in 1951, they made a movie about it, which was an egregious lie. Bathsheba was married. What else? Her husband was a soldier. What else? He saw her cleaning herself. What else? She was beautiful. What else do we know about Bathsheba? Her son, she does have a son named Shlomo. What else? The first son does die. David and Bathsheba's first son dies. What else? What else? She knew what she was doing. Okay. I like that. We're going in the right direction with that one. What else do we know about Bathsheba? Or any of the people in that story? You've yet to name one of the major characters in this story. The God, look at this. Oh, the husband. What was the husband's name? Woo! What was that man's name? Uriah. Uriah the Hittite. Or Uriah the foreigner. Uriah the Hittite. Anything else? Okay, good. We are going to go through this whole entire thing, piece by piece. I remember going over this story when I was in vacation Bible school, when I was retired, when I was in Christianity, long, long time ago. And a lot of the things that you guys said today were some of the things that we learned about Bathsheba. But today we're going to take a look at it from a Hebraic perspective. We are going to do the exegesis. We are going to do the expository teaching, line by line, precept by precept, and we are going to pull out every single one of these mitzvot that are in here so we can understand why David is doing what he's doing. Okay? Now, Sister Harless back there had a litany of texts that I'm going to go to today. That's not all of them. That's just some of them. Can somebody in the back go get me water, please? Can I ask somebody to do that? Thank you. These are not all of them, but these are the places that I'm going to go today if you want to continue to go back and follow along and you need to review this later on. Thank you so much. All right. Let us begin at the beginning. Now, prior to this, let me just set this up. I'm going to continue this series on Melech David. We're going to actually get through, I believe, somewhere in a chapter number 18 when we finish off here. Can anybody remember prior to 11 or at least last time I spoke, where Melech David is right now. Melech David is in Yerushalayim. Coming out of chapter number 9 in 1 Shemuel, Melech David is in this period of his life right now where he has the kingdom of Israel. He is combined now, Yehuda and Israel. And he is in Yerushalayim, and now he's doing all these conquests. He's conquering all these nations right now. In chapter number 9, there's an individual by the name of Mephibosheth that is the son of Yehohanan. Yehohanan was the son of Melech Shaul. Yehohanan and David are best friends. Yehohanan died. Okay? So David is doing good by his friend by taking care of his son Mephibosheth. He's asking where he is. That's what happens in chapter number 9. Chapter number 10, we see David conquering all of these foreigner nations. Okay? So we're in war right now. So when I say war, you should actually have probably at the forefront of your mind the mitzvos that pertain to war. Does anybody know where those mitzvos are? Where are they? Devarim, chapter number 20 is where you will find all the mitzvot on war. Okay? What we can do, how we're supposed to solicit the Most High when we go down before war, what can be sieged, offer terms of peace before you go and engage. If they do not accept the terms of peace, then wage war on them, take them out. So all of those mitzvot are there, okay? In Devarim chapter number 20. So let's get into chapter number 11. It is my honor today. I am excited because I don't think anybody has taught Bathsheba from a Hebrew perspective before, at least that I've heard of. And trust me, I scoured the internet to try to find out if anybody was teaching it from a mitzvot perspective. So at least I'm going to blow my own shofar and say, I am proud to present to you today Bathsheba from a Hebrew perspective. 2 Samuel chapter number 11 and 12, and it reads, in the spring, stop. In the spring, mitzvot. Thank you. We don't even get out of the first 3 words, and some mitzvot should be popping up. What happens in the beginning in the spring? In the month of Aviv is called spring in Hebrew. Pesach is in the beginning of the year, where on the first month, on the 14th day, is Pesach. It starts in the evening. On the first month, on the 15th day, is the Feast of Matzah. It goes for how many days? 7 days. On the first day is a holy convocation. The last day is a holy convocation. Am I in text? Somebody call me out when I'm not. And I know y'all will. It is in the spring, so we know when this is. It says, at the time when kings go out to war. So we can logically deduce that this probably happened after Pesach and the Feast of Matzah. We got through those, okay? Why in the spring? It's great to go to war in the spring. You don't have to worry about in the winter, in the rainy season, getting your chariots and your horses stuck in the mud, and it becomes 10 times harder to fight in the wintertime. So there is a period of the time of the year that our ancestors went out and fought. It says Melech David sent out Yoav. Does everybody know who Yoav is? It's his commander-in-chief and chief of his army. He has one other living brother. His name is Avishai. We learned about him in the previous chapter, in chapter number 10, because Avishai and Yoav go out and fight Amnon and Amram as both of those nations team up against the house of Israel, and they lose miserably against us. Miserably. Okay. His servants who were with him in Israel, they ravaged the people of Ammon. Is there a mitzvah on the people of Ammon? Yes, there is. Okay? We will see that later on, but there is a mitzvah of the people. Who is Ammon from? Lot. There's a mitzvot for the people of Ammon and the people of who? Moab. We have a mitzvot on them. Okay? So he's justified in fighting these individuals. Okay? How many mitzvot have we gone over so far? And we haven't got out of the first couple of sentences yet. All right? And laid siege to Rabbah. Then Melech David stayed in where? Yerushalayim. Verse 2, once after his afternoon nap, David got up from his bed and went strolling on the roof of the king's palace. And I want to make a point here before I go any further. Who built David's palace? If you tell me someone from the nations built David's palace, they did. You can actually go back and find that in 2 Shemuel chapter number 5, verses 11 through 12. David didn't build his palace. And that's how he knew that the Most High had favor for him, because he says it. He says, hey, these nations are now coming in to build things for us. They respect us now. This can be found in 2 Shemuel chapter number 5, verses 11 through 2. From the roof, he saw a woman bathing who was very beautiful. Now, where's Bathsheba? I'm taking a long pause because I heard on the roof. This is the point where I want to make a real good point here, okay? This is beautiful how the Most High has built the mind, because you automatically thought she was on the roof. The text doesn't say she's on the roof. It says David's on the roof. You assume that she's on the roof. Your mind is filling in the blanks. We have to be cognizant to read what is in front of us and not add to or take away from. Okay? David is on the roof. Never tells you where Bathsheba is. So let's just assume David's in Yerushalayim. He's on the hill. He's in the palace. And he's on his roof and he's looking down. Probably looking down into wherever she may be, outside washing herself, in probably the back of her home. Okay? Want to make that point because a lot of people think she's on the roof and she's not. Okay? Now, let's continue to go on. 3, David made inquiries about this woman. Now, let me go back for a second because I missed the whole entire thing that I want to imprint in your brain right now. Let's go back a little bit when it says, from the roof, he saw a woman bathing who was very beautiful. Can someone in here define to me what very means? Okay, all right, okay. Ladies, do you happen to have a man in your head right now that is extremely handsome, excluding the man on stage? Extremely handsome. Fellas, picture in your mind a woman that is extremely beautiful. And I want to tell you right now, whatever you're thinking in your mind right now won't touch this woman. Why? In Devarim chapter number 17, it gives you the mitzvot on how a king is supposed to conduct himself. One of the things that the king is supposed to do is he's supposed to write his own Torah. That doesn't mean he's supposed to start at in the beginning, the Most High created. That's not Torah. Torah is the laws, rulings, mitzvot, and policies that are inside those 5 books that Moshe has written. He's supposed to write the rules and regulations, and he's supposed to read them every single day. David is a person that was snatched from being a shepherd, anointed and made king by Shemuel. The Most High has kept him. He has been in the presence of royalty. He was what? The armor bearer for Melech Shaul. He was his head musician for Melech Shaul. The Most High says that this man is a person that's after my own heart. This person knows these mitzvot left and right. This person, even though he was out on the run from Melech Shaul, the Most High kept him. Wherever he went, the Most High showed him favor. This is a person that fought Goliath and defeated him. When everybody thought that Israel was going to lose, David went out there and had enough courage to prove that the Most High is who he is. So I'm going to ask you again, do you understand what very is? Because you want to wrap all this up, I'm going to explain it to you this way. After I gave you all those accolades from David, that he knows the mitzvot backwards and forwards, he still decided to break them because she was that beautiful. Do you understand that? David is who he is. And he still broke them. He said, you know what? I know the mitzvot on adultery, but she's so beautiful enough, I'm going to decide to do it anyhow. That's how very beautiful that woman was. For a man of David's caliber to consider breaking the mitzvot for her. That's beautiful. We talked about Yehudit when we did our study on her. She's a looker too. But I don't know. Based on this is the first indication that I ever have in text where someone that beautiful he would sacrifice his own life for her, just to be with her. That's beautiful in the sight of David. Okay? So we do have a kind of perspective on what beautiful is. Very beautiful. Enough to make me break the mitzvah. Because we know he's going to do it. I haven't even got to it yet, but you know what happens to him. 3, David made inquiries about the woman. Hey, you see that? Right there. Who is that? Now, she had to be far enough away where he couldn't tell who she was, but he could make out all them curves. Okay? Who is that? Well, I'll send somebody over there to check it out and see who she is. We'll let you know. We'll let you know. Okay? He made inquiries about who she is. So he's asking people, who is she? It's not just him that's looking at her. Because they got to know who they're going to go get. Right? Okay. David made inquiries about the woman and was told that she was Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Now, we know that the Hittite are foreigners. So what we have is a Hebrew woman who is married to a foreigner. All right? Now, I want to unearth a couple of different things here. Stay with me. This is going to get real geeky. It's going to get real detailed, okay? I'm going to try to prove something to you. Does anybody know what tribe Bathsheba is from? I'm going to try to prove it to you today that she's from the house of Levi. Okay? All right. While doing that, we're going to go over, actually, as I continue to progress forward, we're going to go over the mitzvot on the Hittite. But matter of fact, let's do that first. I want to actually go to Shemot chapter number 34, verses 11 through 16. So when you're reading this text, as we do our expository teaching here, you're seeing certain things in the text that should be triggering mitzvot left and right. It says Uriah the Hittite. Question in your mind, do we have a mitzvot on the Hittite? And what is it? Okay? Every single situation may or may not have a mitzvot tied to it. But this one actually does. Shemot chapter number 34, verses 11 through 16 reads, observe what I am ordering you to do today. Here, I am driving out ahead of you the Emori, the Kenani, the Hittite. These are all Canaanites. These are people that are possessing our land as we're getting ready to go into it to take possession of it. You got to get rid of them. So he's a foreigner. The Perizi, the Hivi, and the Uvisi. The Uvisi, if you remember, were occupying Jerusalem, and David went and took it. Be careful not to make a covenant with the people living in the land where you are going. This is one of the things that Yahushua falls down on, because he makes a covenant with whom? The Gibeonites. Okay? Be careful not to make a covenant with the people living in the land where you are going, so they won't become a snare within your own borders. Rather, you are to demolish their altars, smash their standing stones, and cut down their sacred poles, because you are not to bow down to any other any other El. Since Eye Asher Eye, whose very name is jealous, is a jealous El. Do not make a covenant with the people living in the land. It will cause you to go astray after their Els and sacrifice to their Els. Then they will invite you to join them in eating their sacrifices, and you will make their daughters as wives for your sons. Their daughters will prostitute themselves to their own Els and make your sons do the same. That is the mitzvot on the Hittite. All right? We're to get rid of them, have nothing to do with them. But yet and still, Bathsheba married one. Let's see how this unfolds. Let me try to prove to you that Bathsheba is a Levite. We first need to deal with an issue here in the text. Let's go back to 2 Samuel chapter number 11, verse 3. It says, David made inquiries about the woman and was told that she was Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam. Let's stop there. This portion of the text could possibly hang up, or at least let me do this. I'm trying to make a case. This is up for discussion, okay? But I'm going to go slow so I can walk you through it. Eliam. Remember that name. Matter of fact, I need to pick out a person. I'm going to look at you because I ain't seen you in a while, brother. Eliam. Let's go to, and what does it say here? It says what? It says Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam. Let's go to 1 Chronicles chapter number 3, verse 5 through 9. We got to resolve something here. It says, these were born to him in Jerusalem. This is talking about Melech David, his sons. It says, Shim'ah, Shovav, Natan, Shlomo, 4 whose mother was Bathsheba, the daughter of Ammiel. What did I say? Was over in Shemuel. What was his name? Eliam. But here, it's saying she's the daughter of Ammiel. I had an issue with that too for a while, because we're going to have to dig up and do some research on who Ammiel is. And the Most High gave me something that for your hearing, for your consideration, I would like for you to consider too. But let's go and run down the rabbit hole of finding out who Ammiel is. Okay? Because it says here in Chronicles that she is the daughter of Ammiel. If we go to 1 Chronicles, chapter number 26, verse 4 through 5. It says, Oved Edom. I'm going to look at you, Judy, and I'm going to say, hey, listen. Oved Edom. That's your guy. Eliam is over here. Oved Edom is for you. Okay? Every time I look at you, I'm going to be saying, what? Oved Edom. Oved Edom had sons. And those sons were Shemaiah, the firstborn, Yehozabad, the second, Yoach the third, Sakhar the fourth, Natiel the fifth, Amliel the sixth, Yisachar the seventh, Peultai, the eighth, for El blessed them. Now, I said that right here, Amliel is the sixth son of Oved Edom. Can anybody remember who Oved Edom is? Okay. Let's go all the way back to let's go all the way back to Dagon. Everybody remember who Dagon is? Woo! Let me walk you through it. Fell on his face. So we get our ark captured. We are so smart enough, we get our ark captured by these Philistines. They take it down to the temple of Dagon. While it's in the temple of Dagon, Dagon falls on his face because they set the ark right next to this big old idol. Dagon falls flat on his face when they come in the next morning, they found Dagon on the ground. Okay? They set Dagon back up. Dagon, if you don't know, is this half man, half fish idol. Okay? They come back the next day, Dagon's on his face again, and his head's decapitated. Rolled over the threshold, over the floor. Priests walk in, say, what in the world is going on here? Okay? They said, we have got to get this ark up out of here. So, because out of that, you see the plague of what? The plague of the rats, and you see the plague of what? Of the tumors. So they put 6 gold tumors and 6 gold rats on a cart with the Ark of the Covenant. They send it out, and they send it out to Bet Shemesh. And when it gets to Bet Shemesh, they take the cart, they destroy it, they slaughter the bulls, they offer a burnt sacrifice. And I think in that particular passage, it says that those individuals that looked upon the ark, there were 50,000 people that died because they looked upon it. Said, we can't have this. So what they do is they take the ark and they bring it to the house of who? Anybody know? No, that's not yet. Avinadav. They bring it over there to Avinadav. I know I'm Sean, how you figure we're supposed to be remembering all that stuff? While it's there, it stays there 20 years. David has this little feud during this time with Melech Shaul. David now becomes king, and he says, I want to bring that ark up from the house of Avinadav. So as they're bringing the ark up from the house of Avinadav on the road, his 2 sons are walking. One's riding, and the other one's walking in front of the ark. The one that's driving the cart, the ark starts to wobble. He goes out and he touches it. I gave you a mitzvot that should have just jumped out at you. Okay? Now, I want to talk about something that's here. How in the world do they get the ark from where it is to, first of all, Avinadab's house? Because the tribe of Kahat in the mitzvot is the only tribe that is designated to handle the articles of the Most High. There are 3 sub-tribes out of the tribe of Levi: Kahat, Gershom, and Merari. Kahat has the mitzvos to saying when Aharon and Moshe go into the tent of meeting and they cover everything up. It has to be covered. Then Kahat can come in, pick up the ark, and move it. Okay? They cannot touch it. So, we can deduce that when the ark was moved to the house of Avinadav, Avinadav was a Levite. He had to be a Levite for it to even get there. His sons, in order to move it, had to be Levites because they're moving the ark. They had to pick it up and put it on the cart. They made a new cart for it. So as he reaches out to stable it, one of his sons, Avinadab's sons, he touches it and what? Dies immediately. David got so concerned about this that he took it to the house of Oved Edom. Oved Edom has to be from the tribe of Kahat. It can't be anywhere else. He has to pick it up and take it there. He's a Levite. When it gets to the house of Oved Edom, it stays there for 3 months. Okay? And when it leaves the house of Oved Edom, it's going straight to Yerushalayim. Obed-Edom had sons, and one of his sons' names was Amliel. Amliel in Chronicles is Bathsheba's father. You see how I put that together? To say that Bathsheba is from the tribe of Levi. She knows some of these mitzvos because the tribe of Levi is one of those tribes that teaches the rest of the tribes. So when I get over here and I tell you that she went in there and she had an adulterous affair and she didn't know about it, she knew exactly what she was doing. Okay? That's how we walk to getting that Bathsheba is a Levite. So I challenge anyone that wants to bring information. Now let's deal with this issue here that let's go to 2 Samuel chapter number 11, verse number 3, where it says David made inquiries about the woman and was told that she was Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam. Let's resolve that because we walked this issue of Amliel that's in Chronicles, but we didn't resolve this over here. This is what I'm saying as commentary. I want to make sure that you understand this is me talking. Have you ever encountered anyone in text that has two names? David, matter of fact, let's run it down. Avram's name was changed to Abraham. Sarah was changed to, okay, let's do another one. Moshe's, I believe, father-in-law was Yitro. He also had another name. It was Renuel. Yahushua's name is not Yahushua. It's Hoshua. His name was changed. David's son Shlomo's name is changed. Anybody know what his other name is? Yedidyah is the second name for Shlomo. We're going to go over that in 12 today. You'll see that. But I'm setting a precedent to say that it's not uncommon in text for you to see a person with two different names. And in order for this to work, Israel and Yaakov, thank you, that should be an obvious one. So it's not uncommon to say that Eliam, in my case that I'm trying to present to you today, is the same as Amliel that is in Chronicles. Okay? To resolve the two. Now, there may be some debate on that, and we welcome that. But that's where I'm standing in order to resolve the text, and I'm doing it by the text. All right, let's go to verse 4. Took me a long time to get there, but we're here. Oh, one more thing I want to bring up about Uriah. We talked about that he was a Hittite, right? And you're supposed to exterminate them, right? They're not supposed to even be around. I want to give you one more thing about Uriah that you may not have known. David knows Uriah. How do I know that? How do we know that David already knows who Uriah is? He was one of the 37 of David's mighty warriors. Okay? Let's go over here. Let's get it. It's in 2 Samuel chapter number 23. And actually, you probably want to, if you're going to start somewhere in 2 Samuel chapter number 23, let's go up to, I just need to see where you are. Go up a little bit. I just need to establish something. Up. Some more. A little bit more. Oh, these are the 37 mighty men. There you go. David put him in command of his personal guard. Now, go all the way down to verse 39. Now, these are all the people that are in there. And what does it say in verse number 39? Uriah the Hittite. So I'm establishing for you right now that David already knows who this man is. Okay? Because in times before in the past, we would think that David didn't even know who Uriah was. He was just some dude. No, he knew who he was. And I'm also going to prove to you as well that David knew who Bathsheba was too. We're going to get there. Let's go back to verse 4. Now we're going to start moving. Maybe. Oh, no, we're not. Verse 4, chapter number, 2 Samuel, verse 4, chapter number 11. It says, David. Make sure you're there with me. David sent messengers to get her. She came to him. Does that sound like she came forcefully? My wife brought up something this morning while we were having a little bit of pillow talk this morning. She said, this is the king. So you know already, he already saw her in her birthday suit already. So I wonder what she looked like when she had a little bit of eyeshadow on. And she was showing some of her décolletage, and she had them pushed together. And she's, bam, bam, bam. You got a great future behind you. That type of thing. So she's not going to come up there in her sweatpants and a headband and a T-shirt, okay? The king wants to see me. Oh, I got the show out. I'm going to see the king. So she actually probably made it a little bit worse for him when she actually got there. So thank you. David sent messengers to get her. She came to him and went to bed, and he went to bed with her, for she had been purified from her uncleanliness. Then she returned to her house. The woman conceived and sent a message to David, I am pregnant. Now, let's go back a little bit in 4. Okay. It says what? They sent her, they got her. She came to him willingly, and he went to bed with her. Thank you. So he went to bed with her. What did we just do? What mitzvot did we just break? Name them out, because you got multiple ones that are in here. Which ones mitzvot did he break? Coveting. He coveted. You do not covet another man's wife. Okay? Because what? His messengers told him that is Uriah's wife. So he broke the covenant, or he broke the mitzvot of coveting. What else did he break? Come on, this Vayikra chapter number 20, verse 10. Adultery, that's the obvious one. Okay? He saw this woman. He says, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sleep with this woman. And what is the offense? Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and get it. Let's go get the Vayikra chapter number 20, verse 10. And let's just read it. Let's read these mitzvot. We're going to be mitzvot heavy in here. Vayikra chapter 20. It says, if a man, verse 10, if a man commits adultery with the wife, if a man commits adultery with the wife of his neighbor. Now, that's what it says, but let me just read it off here because that's what y'all looking at. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, that is with the wife of a fellow countryman, both. Did that say Hebrew Israel? That says a countryman. Okay? So, if a man commits adultery with another man's wife, that is with the wife of a fellow countryman, both the adulterer and the adulteress must be, get your stones ready, we're going to have a good old-fashioned stoning. They both must be put to death. Right? That's what the mitzvot says. Okay. Now, what other mitzvot did he break? Let's get back over to 2 Samuel chapter number 11. Okay. What other ones did he break? Okay. He did lust after. I would put that in the category of coveting. Anything else at this particular point? Okay, good. You got the major ones. It's not a trick question. You Hebrews know your mitzvot. Don't second guess yourself. Okay. Let's put this back over here. I'm fiddling with it too much. Said that she went to bed with her. Parenthetical. For she had been purified from her uncleanliness. What does that mean? Okay, so first of all, what this is doing is establishing a timestamp. What makes a woman unclean monthly? Her nidah. What a perfect time to actually go over the mitzvot of the nidah. Let's go over those. because this is what's happening. She's at the end of her nidah, and she's washing herself from her nidah. She has separated herself as the mitzvot, which we will see, is in line with, and she is now coming off of her nidah. Now, I'm going to preface my statements, and I need to bring my tone down. I need to bring my antics down. I need to bring my charismaticness down, because I want everybody to understand what I'm getting ready to say. I am a man. I was born a man. I wasn't cisgen, whatever all y'all want to call it today, whatever that is. I don't identify as a woman. I am not a woman. I will not sit up here and profess to know what a woman goes through when she's on her nidah. I'm sensitive to the fact that this is an issue that women have. It's a part of a natural bodily function. There are all types of psychological issues, not saying that they're bad at all. I'm just saying there's issues like a self-esteem that might go along with being on your nidah, that may be attached to it. I don't know where you are in your mental state of where you think about this particular issue of a menstrual cycle. But I am not going to sit up here in haughtiness, try to sit up here and act like I know, because I don't. I can only read what's here in the mitzvot. So I want to be very sensitive to the women when I teach on the issue of the nidah. Okay? You all good? I'm looking at the women in here, because I do not want to be disrespectful, and I do not want anybody here leaving today with the wrong impression, like something's wrong with me in the sight of the Most High because of the way the mitzvot reads. That's not how it is. Matter of fact, let me set a precedent for you right now. When you do the things that are germane to the Most High and the mitzvot, according to the nidah, you are doing the will of the Most High. You're fulfilling the mitzvot. So don't look at this mitzvot like it's something bad. You come into it already with a negative framework. We don't do that as Hebrews. What we do is we look at the mitzvah and we say, this is what we do to honor what the Most High has for us in our bodies. This is a mitzvah that's germane to the body. Okay? So let's get that issue squared away first. Okay. The mitzvah on the nidah. Let's go there. It's in Vayikra chapter number 15. Just for your reference as we turn in there, chapter number 15, verses 19 through 30 is where we're going to go. For reference, in Vayikra chapters number 11, I believe, through 15, give you all of the mitzvot on clean and unclean. And they go from food, they go from sara'at, they go from touching corpses, they go to intercourse, they go to menstrual cycles, for seminal emissions from men. All of those are in those particular chapters. Cleanliness. All right? All right. Are we good? I'm sensitive to this right now. Are we good? Okay, very good. If a woman, this is the mitzvah on the nidah. If a woman has a discharge, and the discharge from her body is blood, she will be in her state of nidah for how many days? 7 days. Whoever touches her will be unclean until evening. Whoever touches her. Whoever touches her. The act of touching something. Not, oh, she brushed up against me. I had to touch you. Whoever touches her will be unclean until when? Evening. Does everybody know when evening is? Nobody in here knows when evening is? You've been living all your life, you don't know when evening is. When that sun goes down and it's below the horizon and there's still light, that's evening. Until complete darkness, that's night. Till that time, when the sun hits the horizon, but you still got light, that's evening. Everything she lies on or sits on in her state of nidah will be unclean. Whoever touches her bed is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Whoever touches anything she sits on is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Is everybody clear on this. I want to give you a methodology on how I think about this, okay, after I get done with this paragraph. Whether he is on the bed or something she sits on, when he touches it, he will be unclean until evening. 24. If a man goes to bed with her and her menstrual flow touches him, he will be unclean 7 days. Every bed he lies on will be unclean. This is me talking. I'm putting you in the mind state of what unclean is. Because you got to wrestle with this issue. Most High, you made this body that women live in. And the natural function of a woman's body is to have her menstrual cycle. And now we have these mitzvot on it. You've also given us saying, be fruitful and multiply. But in your being fruitful and multiplying, there's a mitzvot that says if you do have intercourse with somebody, you will be unclean until evening. If you go up a little bit further, it talks about that. Now, why in the world would you tell me to be fruitful and multiply and then turn around and tell me that in the very act I'm being unclean while doing it? This is the way I think about it to reconcile that. When you go out and you work out, and you're working out in the garden, you're on the football field, you go somewhere, you get dirty, right? You're cognizant that you're a little nasty. My wife has a fit when I come in after I do my workouts. I love you, baby, but my God, you stink. It's not that she don't love me. It's not that we're not married anymore. It's the fact that you understand that you got an issue you got to deal with. The Most High doesn't look at you like he doesn't love you less. He's just simply saying you have something that happens naturally every single month that you need to take care of. And how I want you to do it is all I want you to do is wash. Okay? I'm trying to deal with the psychological issue at the same time as I'm actually dealing with the physical issue of the mitzvot at the same time. Because they do run hand in hand. Okay? That's the way I think about it. So don't think that you're a sinner because your body does something normally every single month. Okay? Let's keep going. Now, this is in the issue. This next paragraph is in the whole entire line of if the nidah lasts more than its specific set of time. Now, I know it probably lasts maybe, and women can correct me if I'm wrong, anywhere from 5 to maybe 7 days that a menstrual cycle might happen. These mitzvot here are if it's more than that. It says, if a woman has a discharge of blood many days, not during her period, or her discharge lasts beyond the normal end of her period, then throughout the time she is having an unclean discharge, she will be as when she is in nidah. She is unclean. Every bed she lies on, any time while she is having her discharge, will be for her like the bed she uses during the time of her nidah. And everything she sits on will be unclean with uncleanliness like that her time of the nidah. Whoever touches those things will be unclean. He is to wash his clothes and bathe himself in water. He will be unclean until evening. Before I go to 28, I did this thing before. I got to do it again because the Most High brought it to my attention. Everybody know who this person named Jesus Christ is? Y'all familiar with him? Okay. Y'all ain't familiar with him? Okay. There's a story about this Christ character. He was in the crowd, folk. While he was walking in the crowd, doing whatever, there was a woman with an issue of blood, it said. And as she's fighting and to get, what is she doing to everybody as she's walking through there? She's making folk unclean. And then what does the text say? It says she touched the hem of his garment. He said he had some power came from out of him. Sounds like to me she made your Christ unclean. And there's nothing in that text that said he went and followed the mitzvot that is before you. on how to cleanse himself and make himself clean. I don't know if I want to follow an Elohim that you serve that becomes unclean. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, I got to say this too because this was on my mind. While your Christ was stapled up on that cross, he was calling on our Elohim for help. You left me. What do you mean? You're supposed to be the Most High incarnate. What, you left yourself? Oh, man. Oh, I'm here, and I could do it, but I'm not. I got to keep moving. Come on, Most High. Woo! Because I'm going to tell you what, this diabolical thing that's over here, I'm going to do it because I'm here. You know what? Our Hebrew text is set up in such a way where the Most High gives us all these sovereign laws. And then all of a sudden, the Most High takes a 400-year dirt nap and wakes up, and all of a sudden, the Hebrew nation is gone. It's just been completely eradicated. We don't talk about the Hebrew nation anymore. We don't talk about the mitzvot anymore. Furthermore, on top of that, now the land is not one of the things that is germane anymore. And look at the framework on how they make you Hebrews look in the New Testament. What do the Sadducees and the Pharisees looked at? Oh, they're coming to challenge our Jesus. No, they're coming to challenge him on whether or not he says who he says he is. And he doesn't live up to the standards of what Aya says in text. They frame you like you're an enemy now. And this just happened. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. 28, it says, now, this is the issue of the cleansing period. Now, I want to make sure we understand something here, because I'm going somewhere with this, because we're going to have to change some protocols around here. And I talked to our Moreh about this, because this is something that we haven't instantiated here, but we need to say this off the stage. Okay? We've already know that when she's in her time of her nidah, it's for how many days? 7. Let's read on. If she has become free of her discharge, when is that? After the 7th day, right? When she becomes free of her discharge, she is to count 7 days. After that, she will be clean. On the 8th day, she is to take for herself 2 doves and 2 young pigeons. What does that mean for us in exile? Remember that as we keep moving forward. And bring them to the Kohanim at the entrance of the tent of meeting. We don't have any of that, do we? The Kohanim is to offer the one as a sin offering and the other as a burnt offering. Thus, the Kohen will make an atonement for her before Eye Asher Eye on the account of her unclean discharge. So one could deduce by reading this that you're in your period of nidah. And it makes sense because in the previous verses, it says that if a man touches her nidah or menstrual cycle, he is unclean for 7 days. He touched it. He doesn't have any blood on him anymore. He's going to be unclean for 7 days. All right? So when she's done with her period of being in her nidah for 7 days, there's a 7-day period, waiting period, and then and that's what they call this time of purification. Then she's to bring these animals so they can be sacrificed as a burnt offering and a sin offering. What does that mean for us in exile? Because this is happening. Can we do this mitzvah while we're here? And I need to establish some other things too while we're here, okay? We can do this mitzvah while we're here, but not in its totality. Obviously, the portion of purification where you go ahead and you deliver the offerings cannot be done because we don't have a temple, we're not in the land, and we don't have the Kohanim. All right? What does this mean for us? What this changes a little bit for us is I want to set a precedent here. Because it says that whatever she sits on or whatever she comes in contact with will be unclean. So if you are on your nidah and a Shabbat happens, what then? You're supposed to separate yourself. Do your Shabbat. That's why we have a mitzvah that says you're supposed to holy convocate, but there is an exception to the rule. Because it says, in your homes as well, it is a Shabbat, full Shabbat. So when you have to sequester yourself because of this, again, you're following the mitzvah. Okay? Now let me give you an example that's in text. 2 examples. I'm going to go to Vayikra chapter 12 that it gives you this teaching on separation in the sanctuary when the nidah happens. Okay? So what am I giving you ladies license to do? I won't be here because I'm observing the mitzvah. And we don't have to know why all your business on why you ain't here, but you're honoring the mitzvah. Let me give you a precedent that's set here. Vayikra chapter number 12, verse 1 through 5. It says, Ehyeh said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, if a woman conceives. Now, this is the same issue of cleanliness. It's not the same issue of nidah. It's uncleanliness. And we're still doing the issue of unclean. Right? Okay. It says, tell the people of Israel, if a woman conceives and gives birth to a boy, she will be unclean for how many days? 7 days. With the same uncleanliness as in the nidah. Good. When she is having her menstrual period. On the 8th day, the baby's foreskin is to be circumcised. She is to wait an additional 33 days to be purified from her blood. She is not to touch any set-apart thing or come into the sanctuary until the time of her purification is over. But if she gives birth to a girl, she will be unclean for 2 weeks. As in her nidah, she is to wait another 66 days to be purified from her blood. So the question on the table is, if I had to give an answer, and I'm looking at my Moreh in the back, if, in fact, you happen to have your nidah straddling over a period of time where it's a Shabbat, sequester yourself. Okay? At least 1, if not 2. Okay? Good? I'm on good ground? Okay. I'm looking back there. Good. Now, I want to read you something else from Bamidbar, chapter number 9, verse 6 through 14. This is another issue of being unclean. It's setting precedent for you for separation. In case someone in your family or someone asks you, why are you separating yourself? You can give them these 2 precedents that's been set in text. Okay? Here's the other one. This is Moshe. This is a time when Moshe doesn't have an answer. Moshe is supposed to know all these mitzvot, but he goes to the Most High and he says, I don't know how to answer this question. You answer it for me. He says, but there were certain people who had There were certain people who had become unclean because of someone's corpse, so that they could not observe Pesach on that day. All right? So they came before Moshe and Aharon that day and said to him, we are unclean because of someone's corpse, but why must we be kept from bringing the offering of Ehyeh at the time designated for the people of Israel? Moshe answered them, wait, so I can hear from Ehyeh will order concerning you. Verse 9, Ehyeh said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, if any of you now in the future or in future generations, hear that? Now or in future generations is unclean because of a corpse, or if he is on a trip abroad, nevertheless, he is to observe Pesach, but he will observe it in the 2nd month. Pesach is observed in what month? The 1st month on the 14th day. It says in the 2nd month on the 14th day at dusk. They are to eat it with matzah and mayor, so on and so forth. I'm setting up a precedent that says they have to separate. They can't even if you're unclean over a moedim, you can't participate in it. It's got to be later on, okay? So that's the nidah. Is everybody okay? I know that's going to spark some conversation and probably some questions, but are we okay? Can we move forward? Excellent. Let's go back to 2 Shemuel, because I want to get somewhere before Moreh leaves, which he already did. Man. So timestamp this right here. All right, let's go. Chapter number 11, 2 Shemuel. Let's go to verse number 6. So she just told David, I'm pregnant. Now we're going to move. It says, David sent the order to Joab, which is his commander-in-chief. He said, send me Uriah the Hittite. He said, Joab sent Uriah to David. When Uriah had come to him, David had asked him how Joab was doing and how the people were feeling and how the war was going. Then David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house and wash your feet." Uriah left the king's palace and was followed by a present of food from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's palace with the servants of his Yahweh and didn't go down to the house. When they told David, Uriah didn't go down to the house, David said to Uriah, "Haven't you just arrived from your journey?" Now remember now, who we got here? We got David. David pulled Uriah off the front lines of fighting, specially to bring him back to Yerushalayim, okay? So he could see him. And he's saying to him right now, haven't you just arrived? Didn't you go down to your house? Uriah answered, listen to this answer. Listen to this answer. And I want you to think about it. I'm going to read it slow. It's probably going to be painfully slow. Think about how he's answering his king. Uriah answered David, "The ark, Yisrael and Yehudah stay in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are camping in the countryside. So should I go to my house and eat and drink and go to bed with my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing." Why is he saying that? Why does he answer him like that? Is it just a face value thing? Are you guys okay with that answer? Let me just ask that. Is that an okay answer? I'm hearing silence. Y'all undecided? You're on the fence. Is that an okay answer? Why? Why is it not an okay answer? You're saying somebody told him what? The plot to kill him hasn't been revealed yet. Okay, so this is a postulation that my wife had this morning. She said, listen, when David was over there looking out at the window at this girl, and he said, "Come here, I want you to find out who that is." Her postulation is, do you think them messengers kept their mouth shut about David inquiring about this woman? So her answer right now is no, that's not an adequate answer that Uriah is giving, because she believes that Uriah was tipped off. Somebody told him that David did something with his wife. Okay, that's one answer. What else? Why do you think? Why is it not a good answer? Y'all said it wasn't a good answer. Why? You think it's a good answer? Why did you do that to me? You just blew the wind out of my sails. But since I know why the Most had your voice so low, so now I can repeat it loudly. If you didn't hear it, I'm going to say it again. What else? I want to hear somebody else. It's not a mitzvot, though. Let's read it again. Okay, let's go through it. Let's go hit through his answer. It says, "The ark, Israel and Yehudah stay in tents, and my lord Joab and my servants of my lord are camping in the countryside. So should I go into my house to eat and drink and go to bed with my wife? As surely as you live, I will not do such a thing." Anthony is on the right path when he gives his answer. The reason why Uriah gives David this answer is because David has already set a protocol that you shall not sleep with your wife when you are at war, because it will make you unclean. Don't believe me? Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter number 21, verses 1 through 7. Very good job. I didn't think anybody was going to get that. David went to Abimelech, the Kohanim in Nob. Abimelech came trembling to meet David and asked, why are you alone? David is on the run from Melech Shaul. Why is no one with you? David said to Abimelech the Kohanim, the king has sent me on a mission and told me not to let anyone know its purpose or what I have been ordered to do. I have arranged a place where the guards are to meet me. Now, what do you have on hand? He's hungry. He says, if you can spare 5 loaves of bread, give them to me, or whatever there is. There's a mitzvot that's in there that says that consecrated bread, that showbread needs to be changed out. Right? Okay. The Kohanim answered David, I don't have any regular bread, however. There is consecrated bread, but only if the guards have abstained from women. Why? Because it makes you unclean. It says, David answered the Kohen, of course the women have been kept away from us, as on previous campaigns. Whenever I go out on campaign, the men's gear is clean. Even if it's an ordinary trip, how much more then today when they will be putting something consecrated in their packs? He's basically telling it's an edict that I've made to my men that because of this mitzvot that's here, whether you do it today and you stay unclean until evening, the fact of the matter is I want to make sure my army is 100% clean when they go out to war. And that is an edict that he has instantiated to all of his mighty men, whom Uriah is one of. That is why Uriah answers him the way he does, because he knows that David is testing him. Uriah thinks it's a test. David, you told us not to sleep with our wives. Why would I do that? It's already established here. He said, I don't let my men sleep with their wives when we're out on campaign. Is that not what he's doing? Okay. So now we can go back into 2 Samuel, verse number 11. And now you can understand why he answers him the way he does when he says, as surely as you live, I will not do such a thing. It's because David has already set a precedent and a protocol for his army already, not to sleep with their wives because of a mitzvah, all right, of clean. Woo, 12. David said to Uriah, stay here today also. Tomorrow I will let you leave. So Uriah stayed in Jerusalem that day and the following day. David summoned him, ate and drank with him, and got him drunk. He's trying to get him to... But in the evening, he went out and lay on his bed with his Lord's servants and did not go down to his house. 14, in the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with who? Uriah. In the letter, he wrote, put Uriah on the front lines of the fiercest fighting, then pull back from him so that he will be wounded and killed. Ain't that cold-blooded? Yeah, thank you. Rick James, cold-blooded. You sent this man with the death notice to Joab. That's cold-blooded. Now, if I was a judge, if I was the defense attorney for David, I've already formulated in my mind that I'm going to kill this man because I know that I got his wife pregnant and we got an issue, right? These mitzvot should be kicking in. Uriah has been, what did I tell you? It's at the time when they go to war in the spring, okay? He's gone. You already know that she's at the end of her nidah. You know that she's already told her that I'm pregnant because she missed her next menstrual cycle. So there's at least 30 days that have gone by, okay? After a while, something's going to start showing. He's got to start taking care of this quickly, okay? Send me Uriah down here so I can get him down here. He's formulated in his mind, and this is the only defense that I have for David. I'm not saying that it's right, but if I was a defense attorney in front of the Most High, and I said, out of all the crimes that David did, this is the one that I'm saying that I'm calling upon to say, Most High, I understand what my client did, but I think he's justified. Not justified, but he is guilty. But I want to present this mitzvot to you so you will have mercy in your judgment on him. Uriah is a Hittite. He's supposed to be killed anyway. What's he to me? My client is thinking that. This is a Hebrew woman. She's married to a foreigner that's supposed to be killed anyway. Okay, yeah, I broke the mitzvot, but at the same time, I think I'm justified in my mind by doing it because he is who he is. So he's in my estimation, the only justification that he could have in order to justify doing what he did to this man was the fact that there's a mitzvah that says you're supposed to kill the Hittite. Okay? Now, the question is, had that been a Hebrew brethren, kinsman, would he have changed his mind? He may have. That may have put the kibosh on everything. But in this particular instance, we can speculate, because the text doesn't say what I'm saying, is that this mitzvah could have probably kicked in his deduction of what he's trying to do. Okay? Now, in 15, he wrote this letter and he says, put Uriah on the front lines of the fiercest fighting, then pull back from him so that he will be wounded and killed. So Joab had the city under siege and assigned Uriah to a place where he knew the toughest defenders were. The men of the city went out and fought Joab. A number of people fell, including some of David's servants, with Uriah the Hittite among the dead. Joab sent a message to David reporting all the news concerning the war. And he instructed the messenger, when you have finished telling the king all the news, so this is speculation. If we're running a scenario here. Tell the news about the war. He may become very angry and ask you, why did you get so close to the city to fight? Did you not know they will shoot from the wall? Didn't you think about the person who struck Abimelech, the son of Uriah, that a woman threw an upper millstone down on him from the wall? That you can find that in Shoftim. That actually did happen. Okay? So that he died in Tevetz. Why did you go so near to the wall? Now again, Shoftim chapter number 9, verse 50. I'm not going there, but I'm just giving you the reference. Shoftim chapter number 9, verse 50 through 30 is what this particular passage is talking about right here when he says the woman dropped the upper millstone on Abimelech's head. That's in the book of Judges. It says, if he says this, tell him, your servant Uriah is dead also. So they're talking in code here. It says, so the messenger left, and on arrival, he told David all that Joab had sent him to say. The messenger said to David, the men were overpowering us. They came after us into the countryside, but we chased them back all the way to the entrance of the city gate. The archers shot at your servants from the wall. Some of the king's servants are dead. Also, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead. David said to the messenger, tell Joab, my commander-in-chief, don't let this matter get you down. It's war. People die. It happens. See how callous he is about this whole entire situation, this cover-up that he's got going on right now? Tell him, don't let this matter get you down. The sword devours in one way or another. Intensify your battle against the city and overthrow it, and encourage him. Then the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead. She mourned her husband. When the mourning was over, look at how fast this woman moved. Look at how fast this woman moved. You will find commentary that's on the internet that says that David actually tried to manipulate her into this. That David, and you will actually have some people, and I hate to say the word that starts with an R and ends with an E, he actually raped her. There's no, you can't support that anywhere in this text, that he did any of it, that she did any of that. I want to make sure that you understand that Bathsheba went in there willingly, knowing she had a husband. David was reminded by his servants, that is Uriah's wife. They know exactly what they're doing. So trying to exonerate Bathsheba out of this whole entire situation ain't going to work. She's in it. And what does the mitzvot say? The adulterer and the adulteress are to be put to death. Okay? So that's what we got going on here. All right. When the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. 27. When the mourning was over, how long is that usually in Hebrew Israel? Maybe about like 7 days or so? Is that what we kind of see time to time? Some are longer periods, or maybe like 30 days if on a particular person. But yeah, after that particular time, let's just go long and say it was 30 days that she mourned him. After 30 days, it says, When the mourning was over, David sent and took her home to his palace, and she became his wife and bore him a son. Now think about that whole entire sentence. Think about the timeline that's in there. I got to read this last sentence. But Asher saw what David had done was evil. Now let's go back to it. It says, when Uriah's wife heard that, it's 27. When the mourning was over, David sent and took her home to his palace. Took her back. She became his wife. And this is 9 months that happened in between these last 3 words. And she bore him a son. How long does it usually take for a woman to bear a child? 40 weeks. Okay? I learned that from my wife. She said, don't say 9 months. It's not 9 months. It's 40 weeks. You didn't carry that child. I know how long it's supposed to be. It's 40 weeks. Okay? And maybe a little bit longer if you got to get induced. So, that whole entire time, now considering this, what's going on? David has got the baddest woman in Hebrew, Israel. The baddest woman. He ain't thinking about his crime. They going to Babies R Us. Oh, let's go down the aisle. Let's see. Let's get this little plushy toy. Let's get all these Pampers. Let's put this on our little wish list and all this thing. I'm being facetious. Obviously, they didn't have no Babies R Us back then. But he's fat, dumb, and happy. This is 9 months that passed. He goes through what? He goes through a Shavuot. He goes through a Yom Kippur. He goes through all the Rosh Chodeshes. He goes through all of these things. And matter of fact, which one is the big one? He goes through Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement for the sins. Now, this whole entire time, the Most High doesn't deal with this until this child gets born. You're going to pay your atonement, and the atonement is going to come here in this next chapter. Hopefully this goes pretty quick, because there's something in here that I also want you to see. But before we go there, 2 things. I want you to remember something when you're remembering this passage, is that there is a victim that's here. Who is that victim? Uriah. Did Uriah do anything wrong? He is a citizen of Hebrew Israel, right? Did he break any mitzvot? He was loyal to David. If he did break a mitzvah, which ones? Which one did he break? Think about that. For face value, he didn't do anything wrong. His crime was having a beautiful wife and being a Hittite in the land. That's what his crime was. So, in doing so, we should make sure that we understand that this whole entire story is about listening to what the Most High is saying to his people, which is, even though these mitzvot have been set up for Hebrew Israel, they're for everybody. Not only the king, but also for the foreigner living with you. This egregious act was done to a foreigner, and the Most High still took out retribution on the king for the fact that he still broke the mitzvah. It doesn't matter that you are a native bloodline to Hebrew Israel. You still broke the mitzvah. You broke several of them. And one I'm going to tell you about here in a second. So keep that in mind. We keep hearing David, Bathsheba, David, but we're not remembering Uriah, who is the victim here. He didn't do anything wrong. Chapter 12. This is going to be interesting. This is part of one of my, let's see if we can get this. Asher said to Natan, I can't even get through the first 4 words before I have to stop again. Anybody remember who Natan is? What he told David first? I'm going to look at you. You know. What did he tell David? He told David, yeah, I'm looking at you. What did he tell David? He told him about his crime. The first time we hear about Natan is when Natan comes to David and he says, David's like, hey, listen, the ark is not here. I want to bring it here. I want to build it a place. I want to build it a palace, its own little room. Natan goes ahead and says, you know what? It's okay that you go ahead and do that. The Most High goes and deals with Natan. This is in 2 Samuel chapter number 7. He deals with Natan and he says, hey, listen, go and tell David that he is not going to build the palace or the temple for the ark. his son will. Somebody from his descendancy will. That's the prophet Nathan. That's the first time you hear about him, is when he goes and tells David that. This is the second time you hear about him. Nathan said, well, at least Eye Asher Eye. I want to reinforce this right here. Eye Asher Eye sent Nathan. Who sent Nathan? Yahweh sent Nathan. This isn't Nathan on his own. You like riddles? I'm looking at you. You like riddles? Yeah, you. No, you like riddles? Okay. See if we can figure out what he's talking about here. This is a prophet going to David. After the child is born. I want you to think about it this way. The Most High, he's committed all of these egregious acts. The Most High takes 9 months plus in order to tell Melech David. And he's sending Nathan the prophet to tell him his verdict on what he's going to do to him. Because David has broken several mitzvot. Which mitzvot are we going to charge him with? He coveted. There's a consequence for coveting. He did murder. There's a consequence for murder. He committed adultery. There's a consequence for adultery. So if you are a judge and you're listening to this case, what do you charge David with? You charge him with death. You charge him with all three. There's a problem with that. Because the Most High in previous chapter says, I'm going to let you live out your days and establish your kingdom. So he's got to let him live. Okay? So, we've got several mitzvot that are on play. Let's hear what Nathan has to say. It says, in a certain city, here's your riddle. It's not really a riddle, it's a parable. In a certain city, there were two men, one rich and one poor. The rich man had vast flocks and herds. The poor man had nothing except for one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and reared. It had grown up with him and his children. It ate from his plate, drank from his cup, lay on his chest. It was like a daughter to him. Anybody have a cat or a dog that they love like a family member? It was like a daughter to him. One day, a traveler visited the rich man, and instead of picking an animal from his own flock or herd to cook for his visitor, he took the poor man's lamb and cooked it for the man who had come to him. Please put your mind where David is right now. He's not thinking about his crimes. It's 9-10 months ago. There's so many things that have happened since then. He ain't thinking about this. And Nathan gives him an issue that he has to judge on. You already applied what this is about. What is this about? Uriah and Bathsheba. Let's listen to how David responds. And this is where your riddle is going to come in. I want to see if y'all pick this up. David responds or explodes with anger against the man and said to Nathan, as Asher lives, the man who did this deserves to die. For doing such a thing, he has to pay back 4 times the value of the lamb, and also because he has no pity. Why does David answer him like that? Now let's do this, Hebrews, because you have to analyze, why does David say in there he has to pay back 4 times the value of the lamb? And I did that on purpose is because you're missing a mitzvot. And the mitzvot that you're missing is the one that Nathan tells David, because David missed it too. That's why the Most High brought this verdict through Nathan to David, to let him know, hey, listen, this is my verdict, and this is also a mitzvot that you missed. Which mitzvot is he talking about? Let's go get it. It's in chapter number 22 of Shemot, verses 1 through 4. David is being charged with the mitzvot of theft. You stole another man's wife. And if you read the mitzvot on theft, you will understand why David answers, the man should pay back 4 times the amount of the value of the lamb. He almost quotes the mitzvot verbatim. Out of his own mouth, he quotes the mitzvot of theft. So what does that tell us? That not only did you murder, not only did you covet, not only did you commit adultery, but you also stole. 22, it says, when a man steals an ox or a sheep and butchers it and sells it, is that not what was in the prophecy from Natan? He said he came and he had all these flocks and he butchered this other dude's lamb, the only one that he had, okay? It says, when a man steals an ox or a sheep and butchers it or sells it, he must repay 5 cattle for an ox or 4 sheep for a sheep. So when Natan is telling him the story, he said he took his sheep, he has to pay him back 4 times because it's the mitzvot of theft. Okay? Let's go on. It says, if a thief is caught in the act, okay, now I'm giving y'all license. If we were in the land, I'm giving y'all license to beat somebody's tail in the middle of the night, okay? The mitzvot gives you this license here, okay? It says, if a thief, now they didn't have LED lights, they didn't have all these Alexa turn on the lights at night or Google whatever, okay? All right? If you've ever been to Africa at night, it is pitch. It ain't even pitch black. I don't even know what that kind of black is. But it's pitch. That's all we just call it. It's just pitch. What time of night? It's pitch, when pitch comes out. It says, if a man is caught in the act of breaking in and he is beaten to death, no one is guilty of bloodshed or murder. But if it happens after sunrise, why? It's pitch black. I can't see what's going on. And I happen to just kill you. Hey, it was in a tussle. I couldn't see. But the mitzvot changes after sunrise. It says, but if this happens after sunrise, there is guilt of bloodshed. A thief must make full restitution. Full restitution. Now, if he is unable, he will be sold because of his theft. If what was stolen, whether an ox, donkey, sheep, is actually found alive in his possession, he must repay double. I'm going to tell you how Asher resolves this issue with his servant. And he's going to use the mitzvot of the thief and this issue of restitution and the issue of repaying back fourfold for one. Okay? Remember that. Repaying back fourfold for one. Let's jump back over and we're going to finish this. Thank you for staying with me. I know this is, I don't know how long I've been going. But we good? Let's go back. Let's jump down to verse number 7. So David explodes, and he says, matter of fact, let's go back up to 5. He said, David exploded with anger against the man and said to Natan, as Asher lives, the man who did this deserves to die. For, yeah, you do deserve to die, David. For doing such a thing, he is to pay back 4 times, he's quoting the mitzvot on theft, the value of the lamb, and also because he had no pity. Natan said to David, this is a famous line, you are the man. It would have been amazing to see David's face when he actually revealed that to him. After 9 months, now here we are. Natan said to David, you are the man. Here is what the El of Israel says. I anointed you king over Israel. I rescued you from the power of Melech Shaul. I gave you your master's house and your master's wives to embrace. I gave you the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah, and it had been too little. I would have... No, sweetheart, you all right. That's why I got you there to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm reading off of what I have here. Let me go off what y'all looking at. It says, if that had been too little, I would have added to you a lot more. I did all this stuff for you. And had that been not enough, I'd have did even more than that. So why have you shown such contempt? What does contempt mean? It means total disregard for the Most High's teachings and word. You didn't regard it with no fear or anything. So since you had such contempt for the word of Ashaya and done what I see as evil, you murdered Uriah the Hittite with the sword and took his wife for your own. What did I say about thieving? Took his wife for your own and put him to death with the sword of the people of Ammon. Let's see if I'm back on track. Now, therefore, the sword will never leave your house. This I want you to remember, because this right here sets up the rest of the next 3 weeks that I'm going to talk about. This prophecy is going to come to fruition. So listen carefully on what the prophet is telling David. He says, now therefore, the sword will never leave your house, because you have shown contempt for me, and 2, taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite as your own wife. Here's what Ashaya says. I will generate evil against you out of your own household. I will take your wives before your very eyes and give them to your neighbor. He will go to bed with your wives, and everyone will know about it. For you did it secretly, but I will do this before all of Israel in broad daylight. Let's go back and get this issue of thievery. What you're going to find out, I'm going to give you the thunder already. This is me talking again. If we apply the mitzvot of theft, which Natan said to David, coming from the mouth of the Most High, and you have to make restitution, and 4 for 1, right? 4 for 1. You are going to see over the next couple of chapters 4 sons from David die. The baby, right now, that's one, is going to die. No one knows the name of this child, but it was a child that was born to David. That's the first one that goes. The second one, who knows the second one that's going to die? Amnon. Amnon does this horrific act with his sister Tamar. He is going to die. The person that actually takes or is involved with that, Absalom, dies. His other son dies. There's another one, Adonai, dies too. Shlomo, David's son, kills him. And that's a battle for over the throne. 4 sons of David die. All coming back to what happens here. All because he wronged a foreigner. Okay, let's move forward. Then Natan returned to his house. Let's go back up to 13. It says, David said to Natan, I have sinned against Ashaya. Natan said to David, Ashaya also has taken away your sin. You will not die. And that's good, because he has, Most High can't go against his word. He said he's going to do something with David, so he has to keep him alive. Okay? So this is out of all those mitzvot that you broke, I'm going to charge you with the one of theft. Theft doesn't have anything to do with death unless you break in and die stealing something, but your restitution is in 4-fold. So I'm going to charge you with that. It says, you will not die. However, because of this act, you have greatly blasphemed. The child born to you must die. Then Natan returned to his house. Struck the child that Uriah's wife. Now, notice how he says Uriah's wife. Why? Because we're going to settle this issue right now when conception happens in the mind of the Most High. It happens in the womb. Conception happens in the womb. Life happens in the womb. And at the time that she conceived, she was still married to another man. This sets up some precedents for us on how we think about, this issue of abortion nowadays in westernized culture, or when actually is a fetus, or when is it actually a life. In the Hebrew lifestyle, Hebrew culture, Hebrew law, conception happens when that sperm hits that egg. That's when life begins. And at that time, he was still married to her. So that's why the text here is saying Uriah's wife that was born to David, became very ill. Now, here's where all you mothers and fathers can, or if anybody in here has to watch somebody wither away and die, that's painful. That is painful. You just had this infant, this child is here, and Most High is getting ready to take him out. And you got to watch it while this infant suffers. This is where I'm saying Bathsheba's getting her butt kicking right now. She's got a connection with this child, and she's got to watch this child die. Okay? David prayed to El on the behalf of the child. David fasted. Why is he fasting? I got a speculation on that. David is fasting because he wants the Most High to show mercy on this child. You're making an innocent Hebrew suffer for something that me and the mother did. I'm fasting. Please have grace on this child. David fasted and then came and lay all night on the ground. The court officials got up and stood next to him, trying to get him off the ground, but he refused. He wouldn't eat food with them. On the seventh day, the child died. The servants of David were afraid to tell him that the child was dead, because they said, while the child was still alive, we spoke to him and he didn't listen to us. If we tell him now that the child is dead, he may do himself some harm. He knew his son was going to die. He's preparing himself. But when David saw his servants whispering to each other, he suspected that the child was dead. David asked his servants, "Is the child dead?" And they answered, "He is dead." Then David got up from the ground, washed, anointed himself, and changed his clothes, and went into the house of Asher and worshiped. Then he went to his own palace. And when he asked for food, they served it to him, and he ate. His servants asked him, "Why are you doing this?" Or what are you doing? Excuse me. "You fasted and wept for the child while it was alive, but now the child is dead. You get up and eat food? Now that your child is dead, you get up and eat food? Shouldn't that be the other way around? When a person dies, you what? You fast. And you do all that after they're dead. But he did it before the child had died. What is that? You guys have heard that? You put sackcloth and ashes on in mourning. Okay? You're supposed to do all that after. David's mourning prior to. Listen to how he answers. He says in 22, says, "While the child was alive, I fasted and wept because I thought maybe Asher will show his what? What did I say earlier? Grace. Have mercy on this child to me and let the child live. But now that he is dead, why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I will go to him, but he will not return to me." David comforted his wife Bathsheba. Probably she was very unconsolable. If we use the mitzvot that are in place about war, we can understand that at least Uriah was was over 20 years old, and he had to have been married to Bathsheba how long? There's a mitzvot that says the men cannot go out to war for how long? 1 year. So he had to have married to her for 1 year. And in that year's time, at least, they never had a child. So this is her first child, and she has to watch that child die and suffer. David comforted his wife Bathsheba, came to her, and went to bed with her. Okay. She gave birth to a son and named him Shlomo. Anybody know what the name Shlomo means? Shlomo comes from a derivative of a Hebrew word, which is shelomo, which is a derivative of the word shalom. So his name means peace. So the very thing that was disrupting in their family, this baby brought peace says, Eya Asher loved him and sent through Natan, again, here we go again, I said name changes, Natan the prophet to have his name be Yedid Yah, loved by El, for Eya Asher Eya's sake. 26. Yoav fought against Rabbah and the people of Ammon and took the royal city. Yoav sent the people to David with this message: I have fought against Rabbah and captured its water supply. Therefore, assemble the rest of the people, lay siege to the city, and capture it. Otherwise, I will capture the city, and it will be named after me. Let me make one real quick one, because we only have a couple more verses, and then we are done for today. Here, this whole entire issue with Bathsheba is a parenthetical that's happening during the time of war. Remember, I set you up, and I said in chapter number 10, they're warring. David is going out, and he's fighting all of these people. Why this is happening, this particular issue is happening. And at the end of 12, we kind of end that whole entire issue with David and Bathsheba, and we have the birth of Shlomo, and then we jump back into the issues of war again. Okay? At the end of 12. Latter part of 12, it says, David assembled all the, number 29. David assembled all the people, went to Rabbah. Ooh, did I read that? Let me just go back up to 26. Go back to 26. Let's make sure I get it. Yoav fought against Rabbah and the people of Ammon and took the royal city. Yoav sent the people to David with this message: I have fought against Rabbah and captured its water supply. Therefore, assemble the rest of the people, lay siege to the city, and capture it. Otherwise, I will capture the city, and it will be named after me. Get your butt down here. I'm doing all the fighting. If you don't get down here, then the city will be named after me, okay? David assembled all the people, went to Rabbah, fought against it, and captured it, and took the crown off Malcolm's head. It weighed how much? 66 pounds. Now think about that for a second. I lift weights. He said he got a big head. David had a big head. I lift weights. I know what 50 pounds feels like. How many of y'all have flown before? You've flown on a plane before? What is the weight limit on a bag that's going underneath the plane? 50. And that joker's heavy. Okay? She said 40 if you fly in Spirit. It might be even less than that if you're on Frontier. So, 66 pounds on this guy's head. Now, I know what a 50-pound weight feels like. Now, I did a little bit of research. Some of our distant cousins that are over there in Africa, you see them with them big things on their head? There's actually a calculation that goes into that says how much you can actually carry on your head. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of anywhere from 20 to 35% of your body weight you can put on the top of your head. But that's distributed over something that's large. We're talking about something that's really dense and in a small area like a crown. So this was probably something that David probably just put on his head for ceremonial purposes, but he wasn't walking, he wasn't doing that, okay? It's 66 pounds. It says, with the gold and precious stones, and placed it on David's head. He carried off great quantities of spoil from the city. In addition, is he allowed to do that? Chapter number 20 of Devarim gives you all the mitzvot on what you can take from a city when you ravage it. Okay? After the Most High hands it over to you. In addition, he expelled the people who were in it and sent them to work in the sawmills, iron, harrows, and axes, and had them cross over to work in the brick factory. Now, Hebrews know about how to make bricks. This is what he did to all the cities of the people of Ammon. Then David and all the people returned to Jerusalem. That is the end of chapter number 12. Hopefully, by way of the Most High, you've heard the story of Bathsheba and Uriah and David totally from a different standpoint, from a Hebraic standpoint, where we unearthed all these mitzvot. There's so many things that you could spend the rest of the month just talking about different themes. And trust me, your Christian pastors have done just that. David was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Had he been on the battlefield, he wouldn't have saw Bathsheba. And I'm going to tell you what, if he had a mind, They do all them geriatrics on that. But what they will not do is explain an expository way of how all those mitzvot and the decisions that were made in the text to bring you full circle to what's going on. They want to appeal to your emotions and let you have an emotional orgasm over the fact that, oh, he got all these issues came up. But you don't teach the text from a Hebraic standpoint. Hopefully, y'all got something out of this today. We will continue our study of David in 2 Shimei when we pick up next week with chapters number 13 and 14. It is a Shabbat. You know what to do. This is a day of rest. No ordinary work. No interests of your own. Rest. Meditate on the mitzvot of the Most High. Do the things germane that are in the text that are pleasing in the sight of the Most High. As I leave you, let me bless all of you. Yivarekaka, Yahweh ve'yishmareka. Yair Yahweh panav eleka v'huneka, Yisa Yahweh panav eleka v'yasam laka shalom. Which simply means in English. And y'all can stand up for this because this is in English. Come on. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and show you his favor. May Yahweh lift his face towards you and give you shalom. Until next time, thank you.